Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to welcome each of you to another FranTastic InSights video segment, whereby we introduce to you some very prominent personalities, all of whom are having a very significant, very positive impact on the ever-growing world of franchising. My name is David Craghead. I'm the Chief Franchise Expansion Officer for FranServe. And today I'll be your host for this week's FranTastic InSights. FranServe, for those of you who may not be familiar with us, is recognized as the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. We have a very simple mission, and that is we change people's lives in a very positive way through franchise ownership. And we do that through a network of incredible franchise brands in 39 different industry categories. Our growth initiatives are supported by a growing portfolio of franchise consultants. The industry quite often refers to them as brokers, all of whom are dedicated to helping their clients explore franchise opportunities, which are deemed to be a perfect match to their individual search criteria. And today I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Lauren Wanamaker. Lauren is the Chief Growth Officer of a very dynamic franchise company, the name of which is Uni K Wax. They're headquartered in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a franchise concept that is significantly transforming waxing standards forever. And they do that by offering fast, affordable, hygienic treatments in a spa-like setting. And Lauren is going to share with us today the differences that Uni K Wax is making in the personal care industry. And as you'll learn today, I think you'll agree with me that it's the differences that are making the difference. It's a big shift in what a lot of people think of waxing and how Uni K Wax is making it so much better. So Lauren, thank you for joining us today. And as I pass the microphone to you this morning, please, if you would, share your business model description and the latest perspective on the Uni K Wax franchise brand.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, David. Super excited to be chatting with you today. So Uni K Wax is truly such a unique brand in this ever-growing waxing industry. And it's at a really incredible juncture in its business from a model perspective, as well as really its growth trajectory. So Uni K Wax is a 30-year-old waxing concept, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about. But about a year ago, just under a year ago, Uni K's founder, Noemi Grupenmager, was kind of at retirement age. She was ready to move on. And so the brand was acquired by just an incredibly seasoned team, both on the franchisee and franchisor side of the industry from a background perspective. So we have these incredibly experienced, seasoned teams of franchisor and franchisees that have come together. It's Heather Elrod, which is, of course, an incredibly well-known name in the beauty franchising space, along with Conscious Capital and Exaltair Capital, that acquired Uni K. And I really love to refer to Uni K as the beauty industry's and the waxing industry's best kept secret, because what Noemi created starting in 1993 is truly innovative and really impactful to the waxing space. And she really grew the brand organically, mostly through friends and family in those early stages, like many great startup concepts. And fast forward to today, we've discovered this incredible brand with an absolutely amazing product, and we're ready to take it to new heights, and really apply some of these fundamental elements that we've seen massive success with in other beauty businesses, namely membership. So when we talk about the business model, it's membership. It wasn't always, but we have applied the membership model to the Uni K business, and it is taking off like wildfire, mostly because of the product itself. The wax that Noemi developed is actually an elastic wax, and because of the nature of that wax, it allows our waxers to wax the customers more frequently. Typically, you need a long growth cycle to come back in for a waxing service, but because of our wax, we can wax much more frequently, which makes the membership model far more appealing from a customer perspective because they can actually use it monthly, if not more frequently. So really the core of this model going forward is membership and recurring revenue. And what franchisees and operators don't love, that recurring revenue piece. And it's an incredibly loyal customer base because of the product. And I could go on and on and on about the product itself, because that is truly what makes this model unique. Noemi, backing up 30 years, actually migrated to the Miami area from Argentina with her 2 young teenage daughters, and could not find a waxing service that literally didn't exist unless they were going to high-end spas and spending $300 to get waxed, or on the opposite end of the spectrum, they were, going into the back of a nail salon and kind of in unsanitary conditions, painful service. And so, like all great ideas, it came out of a need, a true need for she and her daughters. So she started the first Uni K in Miami in 1993, and very quickly realized not only was there a hole in the marketplace, but also the product itself. There wasn't a great wax on the market. And so she formulated Electric Wax, which is proprietary to Uni K. It is made by us, only for us, and manufactured out of our Miami facility, and is such an incredible product. It's something that doesn't exist on the market. Again, has almost been around for 30 years, but exclusively for Uni K. And it's elastic in nature, which means that, like I mentioned, we can service customers much more frequently, but the service times itself is actually much faster as well, because it can be applied at a much broader surface area. Most waxes are applied in a short, small strip. Ours is in a broad surface area, and it's actually applied at body temperature. So you don't run the risk of burning customers, which can happen in other waxing businesses. And then it's also removed at that same body temperature. So it makes the service time much faster. It's 100% natural, which is also very difficult to find in the waxing industry. Unfortunately, it's riddled with chemicals and synthetics and plastics. Ours is 100% natural, which is actually one of the primary drivers of our customer base. They are actively looking for a natural wax. So this is really how we drive a lot of our early stage customers into our business. They're looking for that natural wax, and it's also completely hypoallergenic. So there's never a reaction to the wax. And a lot of that also has to do with it being applied at body temperature. And then it also allows our treatment rooms to be half the size of any other waxing service, because it's applied from actually just one side of the treatment bed. So it's a much smaller footprint, high efficiency, as the rooms are turning over far more frequently. So truly has revolutionized this waxing business. Incredible customer reviews. We have a 4.8 Google rating across all of our locations from an average. So just an incredible model that has, again, kind of been reserved for Noemi's friends and family up until now. And we're really excited to find the right franchisees across the country.
Lauren, you mentioned the word pain, and it sounds like you were saying that pain is not a factor with Uni K Wax. Is that correct?
That is largely correct. It's a very comfortable service. Everyone, of course, has a different pain tolerance, if you will. But because of the elastic nature of our wax, it is, for most all customers, painless. Which is, not typically the case with a waxing service. I think a lot of people fear getting waxed because of that pain. But most of our customers say it's completely painless. And if it's not completely painless, they say it's totally comfortable. So very different from most other waxing services. I know we all think about that hilarious scene from the 40-year-old virgin when he's getting his back waxed. That is not what happens at Uni K. Which is really also just a big selling point for our customers. They love the comfort level.
Yeah, I know very well that episode you're referring to, and it makes me grimace when I see that. So,
Well, David, we got to get you in there. You'll try it. You'll love
my
it.
gosh, yes. Now, visitors to your website will see a reference to the Uni K University. Can
Yeah.
you speak to the distinctions and the benefits of that, please?
Yes, absolutely. So K University is really an all-encompassing training. It's something that Noemi has perfected over the last 20 years. I mean, this is really what leads to our 4.8 Google rating. It's obsessive quality control, and that starts with our upfront training program. So it includes waxer training, of course, first and foremost, really focusing on our proprietary wax and of course the way in which it's applied and the technique that they're removing the hair, and the faster service times, the customer experience, the aftercare in our after products that are of course also completely natural as well, and really just that overall comfort level that we provide to our customers. So all of those training components that start at the waxer level, along with membership and retail sales training, really are what lead to loyal customers. And that of course comes full circle. So we infuse a lot of that into our training so that the waxers really understand that when they deliver that experience, they're delivering something that is getting the customer excited to continue coming back, every couple weeks, ideally, and creating that frequency, ultimately creating higher income for those waxers and of course for the franchisees. And then on the franchisee and management side of things, it is really, of course, preparing those waxers for what they're performing, but also preparing our management team, your leadership, our franchisees for a profitable business, right? How do you drive revenue to the top line? And ultimately, how do we manage our costs, which is actually pretty simple in this business. It's, labor and cost of goods. Luckily, we manage the cost of goods from a product perspective. So there are not a lot of moving parts. And we also really find that waxers fall in love with the Uni K product, the Electric K Wax. And so you have really a loyal waxer following as well. And of course, we're setting them up for success. And that's a big part of what that K University is. It's making sure that we are setting the stage and the foundation for our waxers to have really a lifelong career with these franchisees at Uni K, so that everyone can have, a successful business that they enjoy doing. And so it really comes down to the waxer, but it's all encompassing operator, management, kind of all of the above.
And after the applicant graduates from the Uni K University, can you speak a little bit to the field training that you offer to your new franchisees?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have daily, oftentimes hourly check-ins in the, weeks following their initial opening with the franchisees, especially in that early stage, right? We really want to ensure that they are on a fast track to success. And so we're looking at KPIs, membership sales, of course, waxer retention, package and series sales, and really making sure that their waxers are comfortable and confident, and that we are seeing the volume of customers coming in the doors that we need to see. And then we also conduct a bounce back training. So this typically happens at the 6-week mark. So once they've been open, conducting business for 6 weeks, our team then comes back out to the market. And we are really doing a check-in, right? Temperature check, making sure everything is running smoothly. The franchisees and the waxers and the customer experience coordinators at the front desk know exactly what they're doing. And then from there, our operational business coaches, are continuing to monitor those KPIs. They typically have monthly check-ins with the franchisees and are really kind of their go-to resource and support. We have monthly system-wide webinars, shared best practices. We're always rolling out great new marketing campaigns, all kinds of support and resources, really on every level. We have a profit committee, a marketing committee, franchise advisory council. We have just a really collaborative culture at Uni K with our franchisees. And I think that really stems from Noemi, the founder, and then of course the group of franchisees that she's really cultivated. It's just an incredible group of individuals on the franchisee and really the leadership side of things as well, that lead to that kind of mutual support.
Do you require that the waxers be licensed estheticians?
Yes, they can be estheticians or cosmetologists. So, every market is going to be a little bit different in terms of their regulations. Some states have a waxer specific certification, but by and large, most states, it's estheticians, cosmetologists that are performing the service, which is great for our franchisees because they come to us typically already knowing how to wax. We're just training them on the Uni K way.
And as we help you grow the Uni K Wax brand across the country, are you anticipating any regional influences over your business model in terms of the services offered or the requirements of the individual regions or states?
No, I don't think so. Really from a regulation standpoint, everything's pretty similar across the country. We definitely have markets where we are focusing our initial growth on, but really we're growing nationwide. The offering is the same across the country. We are nimble and we are innovative, and so we definitely look at new things that we can test, whether that's different marketing initiatives or potentially new technology in the future. So there's definitely elements of the model that will likely grow and change as we continue to grow. But from a regional perspective, it's really consistent across the country. Everyone is needing hair removal services, and they're really not looking at it anymore as the luxury service, right? This is part of people's regular maintenance routine anymore.
Okay, thank you. As well, from the signing of the franchise agreement to the grand opening and the ribbon cutting, what kind of time frame is that normally looking like?
Yeah, it can range, really anywhere between 6 and 12 months. The biggest factor, of course, is real estate. We have a full service real estate team that engages locally, as well as at the national level. So we assist them in finding the right location and really moving them through that process effectively. But ultimately, sometimes that is the factor that makes that timeline move out a little bit closer to that 12-month mark. Of course, we always want to see them closer to the kind of 6 to 9 month mark. Construction itself is fairly quick, typically about 10 weeks. So all of the things leading up to that, site selection, lease negotiation, permitting, some of those things that tend to be a little bit more out of our control in terms of landlords and city permitting, can change that timeline a bit, but typically within that range.
Can you speak a little bit about the design metrics of your individual territories?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is really a combination of population density as well as actual customer density. One of the benefits of being a 30-year-old franchise concept is that we have an incredible amount of customer data. We know at a very granular level who that customer is from both a demographic, but also a psychographic perspective, which is really their lifestyle, their life stage, where they spend their money. And so our territory is based on really a lot of those different factors. We want to make sure that first and foremost, they have a high density of our potential customer, which by the way is pretty broad. It's men and women. It's a fairly broad age demographic. And also that there's the right type of real estate. So we look at a lot of those different factors to determine a broad enough area for them to, find the right location, or in most cases with our franchisees going forward, it's multiple locations. So if we're looking at a multi-unit area development plan, that means looking at multiple potential trade areas within that territory. And then of course, the associated demographic, psychographic density of our customer in those areas.
How would you describe the perfect franchisee applicant for Uni K Wax?
Yeah, I love that question. We have such a great existing franchisee base to base that question on. But really the perfect candidate, I would say, is excited and passionate about an innovative brand that is incredibly established, which you don't always get both of those. And really just the general understanding, David, of the importance of following a system. And it sounds very basic, but truly that's what this is, right? Follow the system. And that starts with our discovery process. We want to ensure that our candidates can follow our discovery as we're getting to know them and they're getting to know us, just like we would expect on the other end as a franchisee. Again, it's collaborative and we always want feedback. But ultimately we have, a 30-year track record here. And so we want them to follow the system, follow the playbook. And to be a good culture fit, right? Ultimately, we build our discovery around getting to know these candidates so that we can have a long, fruitful partnership. And so it's following the system. It is passion and excitement around that. And then the final piece, which is probably arguably the most important piece, is excitement around building a team. This is a people business, right? And that's really what makes this business go round, is the waxers and the customer experience coordinators. And building that team looks a little bit different for every franchisee, whether they're a large scale multi-unit development person, they are then, really managing from a high level and building a leadership team, whereas maybe a single unit operator is a little more hands-on, managing the team of waxers. And so it looks differently for everyone, but that excitement around people and building and growing a team, is a prerequisite for us.
Very good. Lauren, I appreciate how detailed your answers are. That's helping quite a bit.
Good.
I'm gathering that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm gathering that most of your franchisees began as owner operators, and does that change over time?
That's, I would say, about partially true. Probably half of the franchisees that Noemi, our founder, brought into the brand early on were exactly that. A couple of them were waxers, so they were very owner operator. And many of them are still in the day-to-day, right? They're working behind the front desk. Some of them are waxing periodically, but really about half of the existing franchisees that were, in place when we acquired the brand and have been with the brand for many, many years are a little bit more, I would say manager run models. I don't love the word semi-absentee because we're never absent from our businesses, but ultimately they are manager run. These are sophisticated operators who have several other businesses in their portfolio of varying kinds. We have franchisees who are in the lash business, in the massage business, some that own recruiting companies. They're all over the board in terms of how they've built their portfolio. And so those franchisees really empower their manager inside their four walls to really drive the business on their behalf. Of course, they're still very engaged in the business. They're engaged with that manager, but they are not owner operator. And so I think that second category is definitely what we will see more of going forward, is a little bit more of the investor type or manager run model, where they're, really leveraging their team so that they don't have to be, in the studio 7 days a week.
Does this business model lend itself to add-on concepts like massage you mentioned, or nails or hair care? Is that something that your model is open to?
Yes, from the perspective of, kind of a totally separate standalone business. We likely won't add those services into Uni K, but existing franchisees that are in those other industries, whether it be massage, hair, any of those other categories, are incredibly complementary, right? It's a similar staffing structure. It's a similar customer base. It's a similar business model. And so there's definitely a lot of synergy. In fact, that's a big part of what we're looking for. We would love experienced operators in the beauty and wellness space that are looking to diversify into waxing. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. For the benefit of our consultants and our franchise brokers that are watching this recording, please share with us what you consider some really hot territories across the country that you'd like for us to help you fill.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, one of the most exciting parts of Uni K for me, and I'm sure for potential franchisees across the country, is that it's truly wide open. So Miami and New York are the markets that the initial growth was really built around, and really where Noemi wanted to stay initially, and did for the first, 30 years. And so we're now on this national expansion plan. We're absolutely looking for franchisees in every single state across the country. But I would say some of the key markets: North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas. Of course, selfishly, I need some in my backyard. So Arizona is absolutely a hot market for us. The rest of Florida, again, most of that growth has been in the Miami area and a little bit north, but the rest of the Florida market is wide open and a very hot territory. So I think those are kind of on our short list, but nationwide is truly where we're going.
And you're available in all states, correct?
We are, yes.
Okay. All right. Are you, as your business grows and as the business model matures, are you forecasting any significant changes in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes, I do think we are. A lot of those changes have already kind of started to take shape, and it really has a lot to do with the acquisition, and the new leadership team, and kind of the vision for growth, mostly at the studio level, right? For our own franchisees. The biggest one being the addition of membership and the addition of very strategic local studio marketing that our franchisees are opting into. Those are, fairly low-hanging fruit and easy levers to pull that are absolutely going to catapult this already incredible business. And so they, again, kind of seem very simple and basic, but just really easy levers that we've been able to pull very successfully in a pretty short amount of time. And so, I think those are the two biggest changes to the model itself and how we grow. But really, I believe strongly that the core of our business will stay the same. We have an incredibly phenomenal product that will stay the same. And, again, we're always open to diversifying, or more importantly, innovating and being nimble. But we have a great product, a great service, a great team. So we don't see any, I would say, significant changes in the business outside of that.
Well, we can certainly feel your passion, Lauren, for your business. So you are, from my vantage point, you're a great ambassador for the Uni K Wax concept. And as we bring this interview to a close, are there any topics that we may not have touched on that you'd like the viewers and the listeners to know about Uni K Wax that I haven't asked you?
I think we've really covered most of the high points. I'm glad you can hear my passion. I am incredibly passionate about Uni K. I'm incredibly passionate about the beauty space and franchising, and really helping potential entrepreneurs or existing entrepreneurs and business owners to grow their portfolio. And I think we're actively looking for the right partners, again, across the country, and just super excited to be partnering with FranServe and really grow this incredible concept.
Well, again, Lauren, thank you for being so detail oriented with your answers. We really do appreciate that. And we thank you also for the privilege of your time today. This entire interview will be posted on the FranServe support site. It'll also be archived in the FranServe library. And in the very next few days, it'll be also uploaded to Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So everybody across the world is going to know who Lauren is with Uni K Wax. And with that, we will adjourn today's FranTastic InSights session. Lauren, you've been an excellent guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.